Gotcha. Give me a kiss. Mwah. And I would walk 5,000 miles, and I would walk 5,000 more just to get to my fucking scourge hook guiles. Oh, I just need my scourge hook value, y'all. My nerdy hot take that often gets other nerds mad at me is that the prequel series of Star Wars was actually better than the sequel series. It had better VFX, better acting, better world building, better storytelling, better fight scene choreographies. Like, let's be completely real with ourselves here. If you were to take a drink every time Harrison Ford made a very confused looking face with pursed lips in the original series, then you'd be dead before the first movie was over. But irregardless, I will say that as much as I don't really enjoy Star Wars as a franchise all that much, I have always been fascinated with the character of Darth Vader. James Earl Jones's voice is of course a big player in that, but there was just always something so interesting about this giant imposing figure dressed in all black that moves stiffly and chokes people out with his mind. The giant glowing red saber in contrast with his dark outfit, and his heavy breathing because at the end of the day he is a man who was brought to near death only to be survived by machinery barely keeping him alive. To me, that's a fascinating character, and while I never dug really deep into the character's lore, because again, I don't particularly like Star Wars that much, I have always loved the character's aesthetics. When the discussion around Darth Vader coming to Dead by Daylight first started cropping up, I believe it was in about 2023 or so, somewhere around the middle of my first year playing this game was when the idea was first brought to me. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna set the tone for the rest of this entire video. I like the idea. I always have. Ever since somebody first mentioned it to me, I have thought the idea of bringing Darth Vader into Dead by Daylight was an interesting and engaging and fun idea that I feel like Behavior could be very creative with if they wanted to. And that's really the key thing, right? It's if they want to. Like, again, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're going to ask me a simple yes or no question, should Darth Vader come to Dead by Daylight? My answer is yes. It's going to be yes until the day we actually get him. But I think the far more interesting question isn't should Darth Vader come to Dead by Daylight, it's will Behavior handle Darth Vader well? I'm not going to run down each and every one of the licenses that Behavior has ever gotten, but if you are like me and you pay attention not only to the licenses you know, but to the way that the fan base of certain licenses reacts, you will know that Behavior has a very hit or miss track record when it comes to creating killers that feel like you're playing as that killer. Pre-rework Myers, Bubba, post-rework Freddy, most recent released killer Jason, and Castlevania's Dracula are all licenses that I am very familiar with, and each of these ones I've named, in my opinion, do feel very thematic to play as. Again, we're talking about pre-rework Myers. The current Myers as he exists is something I plan on doing a video on, but I need more time, guys. I promise you a rant about the rework is coming. I just need more time, and I actually need to sit down and play him a lot more, but it's coming, I promise you. But when I first got to this game, characters like pre-rework Freddy, when he had the stationary dream snares, were crap. He didn't feel like Freddy Krueger, and Behavior had to rework him and eventually brought him closer to what I imagine Freddy to be. This relentless nightmare that is constantly chasing you, forcing you to have to try to wake up over and over again because you keep being pulled back into his dream state no matter how many times you try to escape. I think the base kit dream palettes were really good. I think that the projectile dream snare, while maybe probably not seeming thematic at first, does does definitely feel a little bit more like Freddy, right? He's constantly tormenting you from afar as he closes the distance between himself and you. It's kind of like when you have that dream where you're running away from something, but you can't ever seem to quite outrun it, no matter how fast you run, no matter how hard you run. That's what that power feels like to me. It's really good. It's another video I'll have to do in the future. But then I've heard people talk about how, you know, Springtrap doesn't quite feel as thematic as they feel like he should be. There's just certain things that are missing. I would have to actually talk to people. The big one that I know is that a lot of people say that Amanda, the pig, does not feel very thematic in regards to her depiction in Saw. She's way more fair in the Dead by Daylight version, which is important for game balance, but a lot of people feel like her Mori could use a lot of work, and that there may need to be some tweaks to her in order to provide us with a nice, powerful, thematic killer. I've heard people who really enjoy Stranger Things say that while they like Henry and his power, it doesn't really feel like Henry. But as a big fan of D&D, I think that Vecna does feel a lot like Vecna. So Behavior has this really hit or miss vibe when it comes to it. So what could they do for Darth Vader that would make him feel like Darth Vader? Well, when I think of Darth Vader, I think of this very imposing figure, one that sits in the distance and doesn't really get his hands dirty. What's going to come up as a complication if we do ever get Darth Vader in Dead by Daylight is how they're going to translate that into gameplay. You can't just have a killer whose entire identity is only hitting you from afar. I mean, you can, but people get really mad when you do that for some reason, because I guess looking behind you and paying attention to when the killer is readying their projectile is a problem. Of course, we can't just have Darth Vader walk around force choking survivors out as a basic gameplay. That'll more than likely do something to do with his Mori. But I do think that it's going to be a very difficult task for Behavior to truly be able to translate this big figure that lurks in the darkness and only really comes to light when you're coming to the climax of the films or the climax of any story. One of the biggest things with pre-rework Myers that a lot of people, including myself, really loved was the 3-act structure of his 3 tiers. Tier 1 was the beginning. It was slow. You caught glimpses of him, but you didn't really know about him. Tier 2 was the middle, the rising of everything as he was coming after you, killing all of your friends as he slowly made his way towards you. And then Tier 3 was the onslaught, the final big gigantic attack, the climactic battle. Darth Vader works very similar in his films. We see him, but we barely know who he is. He's just this mysterious guy who's kind of there. And then as the films go on, we slowly learn a little bit more about him. He is the Emperor's right-hand man. He is the deadliest soldier. He is Lord Vader. And then finally, in the big climactic showdown, we get the big payoff of the plot twist that's fucking close to 60 years old at this point. I know. Is it 60 years? It's 50 years. I can't do math. When did Star Wars come out? Came out in 1980. That was 46 years ago. So, spoiler alert for a 46-year-old film. But in that final climactic, when Darth Vader says, "Luke, I am your father," right? That was a really powerful, compelling moment. And I mean, obviously we don't want him to go around, "Dwight, I am your father," right? But like, how do you really translate that kind of power? Another thing I'm kind of worried about is that if we do get Darth Vader in Dead by Daylight, we're going to end up getting this, like, this very underwhelming delivery that has been happening with some of the licenses. Like, when Springtrap came to the game, Five Nights at Freddy was announced, people were theorizing who was going to get what skins and what kind of map were we going to get and were we going to get a survivor and all of these things. And then Springtrap released and it was just him with a collection of skins, including Matthew Lillard, which was badass, that I immediately bought because I just love Matthew Lillard. And then kind of mediocre map, and that was it. We didn't get any legendary skins for any of the other killers. The survivors, I think, got some t-shirts or something, like select few, but we didn't get any kind of like security guard uniform or anything like that to really bring in the feeling of FNAF being there. And this isn't necessarily a strike against behavior, it's just something that kind of happens where license holders are concerned. Like, for example, when we got Pinhead, which of course is no longer in the game, we didn't get any of the survivors from the original movie, which felt really weird. We didn't get any skins related to the big fat Cenobite, which I don't remember his name, but or the female Cenobite. We did get the Chatterer, but realistically, that chapter was a little bit underwhelming. We didn't get a map with that one at all. Bubba Sawyer's the same way. No survivor, no map, just Bubba. He just kind of showed up. And then I found out the other day that he didn't even have his chainsaw sweep when he first got here. It was just kind of a chainsaw. Like, they had to add like charges. And anyway, the point is that behavior, I know they tried to get all of this, right? I don't think it's behavior at fault. It's the license holders. And I'm really, really worried that if we do get Star Wars and we do get Darth Vader, that we're going to severely be lacking in the rest of it, right? We're not going to get Luke or Han Solo or Princess Leia or, God, what was the guy's name? The one who was played by the actor that kind of looks like Richard Pryor. Lando. We're not going to get Lando, you know, or Chewie or anything like that, right? I would like to see like a legendary skin for Vader that's like Darth Maul. Another example of this is the D&D chapter, right? We got Vecna, but we didn't get anything really else with Vecna other than the troop, which they're called the troop, but there was only 2 of them. I was expecting later on down the road for us to get things like a lizard folk or, you know, some other kind of survivor skin for the troop that would have been kind of cool, or a mind flayer skin for Vecna. Maybe there's a mind flayer being planned for, like, you know, next year or something. I don't know. But the point is that at the end of the day, it's not should Darth Vader come to Dead by Daylight. It's will we get an accurate Star Wars chapter that feels fulfilling to fans of the series. As somebody who just has a tangential admiration for the series here and there, I don't really care that much, but I really don't want to be put in another position like I was with the Five Nights at Freddy's chapter, where I logged on, I played Springtrap, and then I leaned back and said, that's it? That's all we got? This big gigantic chapter that was teased for an entire year, that's the only thing we got was Springtrap with a shitty map and a handful of arguably cool cosmetics, but a handful of cosmetics that just belong to Springtrap, nothing else? That feels very underwhelming, and I don't want that to happen with Star Wars. So to wrap up my thoughts, should Darth Vader come to DBD? Yes. Will behavior or the license holders be able to provide us with something that feels satisfying with something as big as Darth Vader coming to Dead by Daylight? I guess we'll have to roll the dice. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for watching. As always, a great big special thank you to my channel members listed on screen now. If you want to find out how to become a channel member today, get awesome perks like seeing videos early, merch discount codes, and more, then please click that join button down below. Aw, I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.